Kia ora and welcome to the Creative Matters podcast, where we have inspiring conversations with New Zealand artists. I'm your host, Mandy Yarkich. These conversations are intimate, uplifting and insightful. The guests on the show have absolutely enriched my life, and I'm sure their stories will have the same effect on you. Thank you so much for joining me to listen to these amazing people speak about what drives them, the way they work, and their personal takes on life. Frankie Meaden is a textile artist from Tāmaki Makaurau, Auckland. She makes giant embroidery artwork from recycled materials. Frankie's art is almost always botanical, with her large-scale sculptural pieces challenging the scale at which embroidery is usually seen. Frankie tells the story of the rich biodiversity of our world, using colourful rope and recycled street banners in a way that is impactful, beautiful and sustainable. We talk about how Frankie came to work on such a large scale, how she sources the recycled materials she uses, and the joys and the challenges of creating a large-scale public installation. We talk about her process of making these beautiful pieces in her studio, how she connected with her two Auckland galleries, and her dreams for her business, Beautifully Frank. Hi, Frankie.
Hello.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, it's nice to be here. Thanks.
Thank you, and welcome to Miriwai, and welcome to the Creative Matters podcast.
It's great.
You're only our second textile artist out of 86 episodes.
Wow. Bring on the textile artists.
Yes, I can't
more.
believe it actually. So, it's really nice to have you here. Thank you. So you do have an English accent. Where were you born? And can you tell us a little bit about your childhood?
Yeah. So I was born in the south of England, a little place called Haywards Heath, in the countryside. I was raised on a Christian missionary base. As part of YWAM, which is Youth with a Mission. So I grew up in this really amazing community of people. It was quite a unique childhood in a lot of ways.
Amazing.
There's this big manor house in the countryside I was really blessed to be in this environment. Yeah.
Wow. And were there amazing creative people within that community?
Yeah, there was like a creative school as part of that. I can't remember what they called it, but they did like colour theory and lots of kind of digital art as part of that, because I think that the guy who was teaching was really into that kind of style of art and animation stuff. So yeah, I was exposed to a lot of art from early on. Yeah, not that I do that style at all.
No, but it obviously had some impact. And as a child, do you think you were creative?
Oh yeah, I was definitely the kind of arty kid. Yeah, my mum taught me to sew from the age of about 4, and whenever we went on holidays, we used to drive to Norway because it's Europe, so you can just drive everywhere, and I would always have embroidery in the car. I'd be sewing on the journey from a very, very young age. I just always loved anything to do with textiles and fabric and thread. So,
wow.
Yeah.
And that's carried on through, obviously.
Yeah.
So high school art, how was that for you?
Yeah. It was great. It was good. At that point, it was good. I think when I got to uni, it went a little bit downhill in terms of my confidence. But when I was in high school, it was great. I had some really great teachers, and I did textiles and fashion and photography and all of the things.
And you were painting then as well?
Not really. Not really. I remember doing a lot of drawing at that point. Really into like coloured pencils and like oil pastels and stuff. Not so much painting. That wasn't until later.
Yeah. And you have a real connection to nature.
Definitely.
So, and possibly because you lived in the countryside and were raised there. But was that still an interest, do you think, when you were young?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I've always been outside. I would have called myself a tomboy, but I would have been running around. I had brothers rather than sisters. I'd be running around with my brothers and climbing the trees, but I would be doing it like in a tutu. So not quite a tomboy, but definitely and love being outside in nature, and so glad to be living in New Zealand now because I love it here.
So you were in England at high school, and then what happened after high school?
I went to do my art foundation, like my first year of uni in London. And that was interesting. It was, I think I had some rough, quite harsh criticism. And in hindsight, it's probably beneficial because I have quite a thick skin now in terms of people's opinion of my art. So I think that in the long run, it was probably good. And I don't know if that was their intention or not. But it did make me stop. I was like, I'm going to stop studying art. And I went and studied biomedical science at uni instead.
Wow.
Again, it's like nature. I was really interested in I'm a Christian, and I was really interested in how God had made us. And I was going deep into genetics. And then I missed art too much. So I moved to New Zealand and started doing art again.
Really?
So, yeah.
And you weren't tempted to head back to study and finish off your art degree?
Well, I started having children fairly young. I got married before I moved to New Zealand. So I was 20 when I got married. 22, I had my first child. So I kind of was thrown into that era of my life of having young children and creating art at the same time. So studying wasn't really an option, even for time, but also financially, because we weren't residents here. We are now, but we weren't. So it was, international fees are crazy. So it kind of just happened that way where I didn't go back and study art, and now it seems pointless because I'm just doing it. So
yes,
I had to work it out myself, basically.
Which can be great, a great way of doing it in some ways. You have a 4-year-old, a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old. So you're a very busy mum. And it'd be really interesting, well, first of all, to know why you came to New Zealand and then how you established some form of art practice around being a mum.
I came to New Zealand because my husband, he had a job offer here. So his dad is a jeweler. He's a goldsmith, Meaden Master Jewelers on High Street. And my husband was a trained goldsmith at that point in our lives as well. So he was offered a job here and we were like, that's great. Let's go and have an adventure in New Zealand and see what happens, and definitely move home before we have children, which did not happen.
And he's a New Zealander, your husband? No,
we're both English. We're both from the same little place in the south of England, and we went to the same school, and we met in the church youth group. So we've been together since we were 15, and married at 20, and it's worked out so far. As for I just do the art around the kids. They're very used to tools being in my studio and just not touching things. It's a bit hazardous. I have to be careful when they have friends over to keep them out of certain zones. Because my kids are quite just well trained because they've been always around me making. We haven't had too many incidents of artwork being damaged or anything. It's pretty good.
And what a lovely environment for your children to grow up in, to have that. It's just part of their lives, that creativity.
My middle child calls herself an artist. She introduces herself. Hi, I'm Fern. I'm an artist. And she is. It's great. She's always in my studio. She genuinely helps with some pieces. And so it's great.
So good. Lucky kids.
Yeah, it's fun.
And what was your work like when you first came to New Zealand and started making?
There were a few years where I wasn't doing anything artistic. I say that, but I was working at a jeweler's. We were all in the jewelry trade for a while, and I was doing a bit of like engagement ring design in that. So I did do a little bit, but in terms of my own art practice, I wasn't doing anything. And then I started getting into my hand sewing again and just doing some little projects for me. And then I wanted to experiment with paint for the first time. So I started painting and stitching on the same and mixed media pieces. And that was fun. Just did that for a while.
And what were those works like? Were they botanical?
Yeah. Always a few landscape pieces. And then I've always been drawn to flowers. I started doing flowers. And that was when I embroidered, and I painted and embroidered on my denim jacket, just to have some art on my jacket. I thought it'd be fun. And my friend saw it. She wanted one. She had some flowers that were quite sentimental for her. So I made her a jacket. And then more people were interested in that as a product. So I have probably made over 100, maybe 150 jackets now.
That's a lot of jackets.
Most of them going around New Zealand, so you might see them around, a few overseas. And so I was making like custom denim jackets, and each one is different, and it's a painting with textile paint and fabric paint, and then stitching on top.
And is the stitching outlining or adding texture?
Mostly outlining and then detail lines on the flowers. So it's mostly like the lines on top, and they just really make it pop. So I do still really like those pieces. And
it must be hard to thread through the denim.
No, you just get the right needle.
Right.
You get the right kind of sharp needle, and it's fine. But yeah, you do need the right equipment.
How beautiful. So really that was the beginning of your business, I guess, and your and your art practice.
Yeah, it was.
So how did you actually get that going? It started as word of mouth, but how did you build that audience?
I think just bit by bit, doing the boring admin of social media. Like every week I try and schedule some social media posts and do that, call it my admin time, and reply to people and do that. I did like Facebook and Instagram ads for a while, and Pinterest when I was building it up there. And then I had Stan Walker had a jacket of mine, and I got a kind of spike in sales at that point. People kind of saw my stuff a little bit after that. So that was cool. And that was right in like the COVID lockdown, like 2020 era of our lives.
That crazy
so
era.
I was making jackets during lockdown.
Which would have been really good. A good thing to be doing. Yeah. And so Stan, what did he want on his jacket?
He had like the specific flag from his iwi, and some writing on the bottom. So it's like a bold, colourful flag on the back of a jacket.
Beautiful.
So I keep hoping he's going to wear it on stage, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yes, wouldn't that be great?
It looks great.
That's so good. And it's amazing, isn't it, it's amazing how much of an influence it can have for somebody well known to have one of your products. I mean, can you actually kind of promote that Stan has one, do you think? Is that something
I did a couple of posts about it and like tried to tag him and he did comment and stuff. But yeah, it's not I wouldn't want to now because I'm not moving forward with the jackets anymore. I'm not making them. I only have one left in because I just stopped selling them, stopped the product, and I have one left, and it's a Taylor Swift jacket for the concert they're going to go see. So that's quite a fun one to end on because it's just colour and sparkles.
How amazing.
But loads of pink and purple, and it's good fun.
And do you actually source the denim jacket, or do people bring your one to them?
Yeah, people send me their jacket. Yeah, okay. So that was part of my goal to try and be as sustainable as possible. I wanted to be like using clothes that were already in circulation. So that was a big like motivator for me. So yeah, people send me the jacket that they already love wearing, that they just want to like upgrade.
Yes,
that was the idea. Yeah,
that's so great.
A tattoo for your jacket, I was calling it.
I like that.
Yeah, it was a really good season.
And why did you decide to stop it?
I I still enjoy doing it. I just felt myself being led in a different direction. I was wanting to move into different media and really experiment with other materials. So I think that just happens in your art journey. Sometimes you get kind of led creatively, and I saw the kind of big shift happened about a year ago when I saw an art call from Heart of the City, and they were doing a springtime theme. And I had, for years, in my sketchbook, I had been writing about wanting to do something really big. And they, something outside, like a big public piece. And they had this art call. So I did an application and they interviewed me, and they ended up commissioning me to make a really big artwork for the city. And what that did was allow me to have like the funding to really experiment with different materials. And I got all this recycled plastic rope, and I sourced all of these banners that had been hanging above the street, kind of ones that hang on lampposts, the flags, and scrubbed them because they were covered in bird poo, and cut them up and was using that as the thread for my embroidery. So I loved doing that so much, and I loved just the challenge of a different scale. So that's definitely what I'm doing now, and I'm like excited about it. So I guess I'm just being led by what I'm excited about.
That is amazing. And I've seen that was a massive installation in Vulcan Lane, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it was very high.
Yes, it was like a canopy above the street.
Yeah.
So like first story kind of height just above that shop front level. It was 9 meters long and 2 meters wide. So there's like a long strip above the street that you walked underneath.
That's huge.
Yeah, it was pretty big.
I just cannot get my head around how you would make that happen. So I've got lots of questions actually. So can you go back and just tell us a little bit about the application process? Because I think those kind of call outs are really great for artists. And
definitely.
For you, it was the beginning of a new era.
It was.
In some ways. So how do you go about applying, and have you got any tips for people listening?
The application was quite simple. I made a mock-up of my idea on Photoshop, and I took a photo of the street where the artwork was going to be, and then drew directly onto that on Photoshop, so that my kind of visual idea was not just written. I'm not very good with words, which is great that we're doing a podcast. I'm just a really visual person, and so I just drew onto the street, where I wanted the art to be, and it ended up evolving quite a lot after that. But I didn't do very much writing in my application, and it was just like an email that I wrote to them and sent off. And they were great. They interviewed me and asked me lots of questions and pushed me and really helped actually with different questions I had around like how heavy, like they were concerned about the weight, and that was something I hadn't considered, like weighing it as I went to make sure it wasn't too heavy and things like that, which was a learning curve, and they were brilliant.
That's so good. And it's a great way for you to kind of clarify your own ideas by talking it through and then getting the feedback from someone else.
That editing process. Yeah.
And I guess they're more used to massive installations in the city.
Yeah. And the team who actually install the artwork, they were really great as well at answering questions and asking me the right questions, so that I was thinking about different things.
And did they give you guidelines like what to put around the edge and what needs attaching to where and that kind of thing?
Not really. I just came up with a plan for that, and they were like, yep.
Wow. Because that's quite, it's quite a sort of complicated concept, I imagine, to get that right sort of in a sort of physics kind of way, like getting the attachment points at the right place so that they don't sag. And
there was getting the tension right. I quite enjoyed that whole process. I sort of lie in bed at night and I'm thinking about that sort of thing and how I would connect it and which rope knots to use, kind of using my brownie training girl guides. The tomboy stuff comes in there. I'm like, oh, I could use a different rope for that. and talking it through with my friends that are my kind of creative sounding boards.
That is brilliant. That's a huge project. And can you tell us about the sourcing of materials, how you actually found them and how you decided to use those particular mediums?
Some of the flags that I've got, because I've been working in the like sustainable fabric space for a while with the jackets, and so I had already been kind of trying to source fabrics, and I was like posted on Facebook on a business page asking if anyone had any flags that they just had in a warehouse somewhere, you know, they had come down. And I got quite a few replies from that. And so I was playing with those materials. And then when I was talking to Network Visuals, who were the people, the team who were actually installing on Vulcan Lane, I was talking to them about it, and they had loads of flags. So now I get quite a lot of flags from them. They just check with clients to see if it's okay, which it pretty much always is, because I'm cutting them up completely. So it's not like it'll have their logo on it anymore.
They're quite soft and movable.
Yeah.
They're not like the
They're
stiff banners.
No, they're definitely a kind of waving flag.
Yeah.
But they're also, it's not quite nylon. I don't know. I think it's probably just polyester or something. Yeah.
So talk us through the process. I mean, you've got your materials. Did you start with the materials, or did you start with the idea and the drawing and then find the materials? Can you talk us from the beginning through that amazing process?
I had some artists that I really loved and that inspired me. That's probably one of the first steps in the process. Like 4 years ago, I saw some really interesting like cross-stitch style embroidery being made that was like on a really large scale, like on the side of a building. Anna Martins was one of them, and Raquel Rodrigo. So those two artists come to mind. They were doing like cross-stitch with wool on a really large scale, like by making a grid with screws and then tying little loops to make a cross on between them. But like on the side of a building. And I was just like so inspired by that. And I was like, yes, this is what I want. I want to take my embroidery and my love for fabric and thread and blow it up to a huge scale. That really excites me. And then, years go by and it's just something I occasionally think about and write about in my journal, because I write everything down. And so I kind of started with that. I think that was quite inspiring for me. And then when I saw the art call, I was like, I could do it. So
this is your moment.
Yeah, so I kind of visualized it above the street before I'd found the exact materials, because I did experiment with a few different materials before I landed on what I ended up using. Yeah.
What other materials were you thinking could be a good fit?
I had some like metal, like chicken wire type stuff in my garden, and I was embroidering through that for a while. I was embroidering through like a pegboard, through the holes on a pegboard. So many different things. I'm a bit of a scavenger or hoarder, my husband would say. I like to say crafter, but I think it comes naturally to some to kind of see things on the side of the road and be like, ooh, yeah, I could embroider on that.
Yes. And to have that vision where you see something and you think, right, yeah, I know what I could do with that.
Yeah. And then, unfortunately hoarding it and maybe not getting round to that project every time. But usually, eventually getting round to it. It's quite satisfying when you do use something you've had for a couple of years in the shed.
I love all those ideas with those materials. I'm sure, at some point you'll explore that.
Yeah, why not? And I used like different thicknesses of rope before I landed on the right thickness for that scale. I was like, no, it needs to be bigger, it needs to be thicker. And I found this brilliant company in the Netherlands. I think they might not be now, but I think that they're the only company that are making rope from recycled material that is like fully recycled, but also like a solid block of colour. Because there's a few people that are making it, but it's the kind of classic rope that has all the colours mixed in, or it's like checkered. And I didn't want that. I wanted to be able to, colour or paint with the thread and have it be a solid colour. that I could,
Like almost like a painting with a paintbrush. And
I
applying colour.
I think of it as drawing when I'm working. So I'll like work on the red and then I'll blend in the pink or whatever I'm doing, and I'm blending it whilst I'm sewing, but it's just bigger.
And
so it's helpful
company?
to have.
Sorry.
Oh, it's called Paracord. They sell rope it's more for like dog leads and like other kind of products like that. But I found them and I order different colours from them whenever they get the recycled stuff in stock.
So good.
Yeah. So I have to ship it over, which isn't as eco-friendly, but you win some, you lose some.
Yes, and it's pretty hard to avoid that living out miles away from anywhere.
Someone start doing it in New Zealand, that'd be great.
Yes, that would be so good. So you had those ropes from that company, but that's not what you ended up using? Or did
No,
you,
I did. I
use
still
that
use them.
with the flags?
Yeah.
Okay.
So quite often the rope is on the outside of like outlining the pieces, and then the banner is like all of the filling it in. So that's usually how it goes.
And so how do you, you're not using chicken wire obviously, but have you got some sort of framing that you're working within, and then do you start with the outline?
So my studio wall has hooks along the sides, so like going vertically. So I have this big wall and I have hooks going down, and then I stretch fishing net over the wall. I missed a step. First, I draw on the wall with chalk. So I have this, it's like off-white wall. And I draw with white chalk my design onto the wall, like large. And then I hook the net all over, and so it's tensioned, and then I embroider through the net.
That's such a good idea.
Thanks. So then I'm working on quite a large scale because my wall is big.
And then it's obviously probably not 9 meters long.
No, it's more like 2 meters by 2 meters.
So do you do it in sections?
Yeah. So each section is 2 meters square, and then I connect all of those together. So I make it a design on the computer, and map it all out beforehand on Photoshop for what I want the design to be, and then I sketch each section out in large scale on the wall. When I'm making like a huge piece, that is.
And do you project it up onto the wall?
I have done before, but I find it much faster to just draw it freehand, especially because my shapes are so organic that if it's slightly different, it doesn't usually matter that much.
Yeah. And how do you make sure that the sections make sense, sort of flowing from one section to the next?
Well, if I'm just like freehand sketching it on, I'll just have that piece on the floor next to it when I start the next sketch to make sure the edges line up, and then it'll be okay.
Wow.
I kind of just wing it a little bit.
That sounds quite tricky.
You got to wing it.
But it's not really drawn in sections, is it? It's one long piece.
It's one long piece, but I'm very intentional about making sure that each section makes sense as its own artwork, and its own composition, because when Flourishing came down from Vulcan Lane, I chopped it up into its parts and sold them individually. So I was intentional from the beginning that each one had to have its own, it couldn't be boring, couldn't just be a filler section. It had to make sense as its own composition.
Yeah, that is so smart. And that fits so beautifully with your sustainability focus.
Yeah.
And I love that people can own a part of it. And it would be a hard thing to sell 9 meters long.
Oh, true.
Yeah, so that's brilliant. That's very clever.
Thanks. That's nice.
Yeah, well done.
I'll take the compliment.
Absolutely. And so back to your process, you've got the drawing behind, and then you start threading the rope. How do you actually thread that? What do you have it attached to? Like, I'm not
just
visualizing.
My hands.
Okay, so no needles?
No needles. I just use my hands and shove it through. It's quite rough. I've got quite like tough fingers and short nails because I'm shoving it through the net all the time and pulling it through.
And you're basically weaving through the net.
Yeah, just like when you're doing any sewing, it's in and out and back and forth, and different.
And is it one single line, or do you go back and?
Oh, it depends. It goes all over. Depends on the mood. Depends on what music's playing.
Or what podcast.
Or which podcast I was about to say. Absolutely. I usually do the outlines first and then kind of fill in different sections, but it's definitely a little bit intuitive. And after spending so many years doing different embroidery techniques, I'll sometimes bring out a few French knots or different stuff to bring out texture in different areas, depending on what I want to do.
And then how does the inside of the flower shapes or the petals with the flag material, how does that work?
It's just the same. I cut the flag material after I've scrubbed all the poo off of it, cut it into strips, and then use that as my thread. Yeah. So it's just giant embroidery.
And you just knot it on when it comes to the end of a piece.
Yeah. I call it giant embroidery because I'm just embroidering onto this net. And
it's all the same concepts of embroidery, but larger,
but bigger,
and using different materials. That's so fascinating, and I feel like you've been quite experimental. You've come up with this concept, and I can imagine in the future, I can just see you sort of developing lots of different techniques with lots of different materials.
Yeah, I do like to have a challenge. Yeah, so I've had a few different installations since Flourishing, one over in Colorado, where I took 3 of the pieces of Flourishing over. 2 of them had sold here, which is brilliant, in 2 lovely galleries. So I took the pieces over and installed them in Colorado, and then one installation that was last week, which was in Otara Town Centre in South Auckland, and I installed it in a different way. So I used I hung it like a tapestry from a curtain rod, like a pole at the top. And I made it double-sided because it was hanging vertically instead of like horizontally above the street like Flourishing had been. So I had quite a fun time kind of making the design double-sided. So it's good to have a little challenge. Colorado was a challenge because I had to think about snow and stuff that I hadn't had to consider here.
My goodness.
Like it's a different climate.
How fantastic. I mean, I feel like you really, over this last year, you're just gathering so much momentum and you're just starting to really fire. So how did the Colorado installation come about?
I just applied for an art call again during my weekly admin.
And how do you find these art
So
calls?
that one was on Cafe, which I think stands for something like cool art. I don't know. But Cafe is the website, and it's mostly US-based stuff. But so I filter it by whether they allow international applicants. And I just applied for that, and they went for it.
That's so good.
They flew me over and put me in a hotel, and it was really nice. Yeah, it was a challenge.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what was challenging about it?
Well, some unfortunate circumstances with me being really unwell. So I kind of had terrible strep throat, and that was really difficult having to go through the American healthcare system, and that's no one's fault, that happens. But then there was also some challenges around, they kind of changed the plan for the install. And so we had different expectations, and unfortunately their plan didn't quite work. So then there was a lot of like on the day trying to come up with a new plan, trying to make it work kind of vibe. And we did, but it was definitely a lot more work than I thought it was going to be.
And more stressful.
Yes. And part of that was because I was unwell, and so I wasn't at 100% to kind of be able to think on my feet and come up with a solution when something wasn't working.
And why did they change the plan?
So the plan had been to install my artwork by attaching it to a metal frame, and then that would be hanging from the bridge vertically. But then when I got there, the plan had changed due to consent issues and worries about wind and stuff. They changed it to be hanging horizontally like it had been when it was on Vulcan Lane. I don't think that they quite realised how much work went into then changing how it was attached together. So I had to spend a lot of time reattaching all of the ropes and making sure it was secure to completely support its own weight, rather than have a metal frame doing some of that work. So That was one of the challenges, is kind of suddenly having to adapt the piece again.
That would have been really hard. And how did you feel about kind of deviating from your brief?
I mean, I'm quite a person. I'm quite a positive kind of make it work person. I was like, this is what we're doing. Just got to make it work. Make it the best that I can make it. But when I got home afterwards, you kind of process it, and I was like, oh, it was just so hard and so disappointing. But there were loads of positive sides to it as well. But the thing that happened is when we were installing it under the bridge, one of the connection points on the bridge that was holding the weight of the piece came off, and then that caused the piece to tear. So there was physical damage to the piece as well that I had to repair when I was there. So that was another challenge that happened. So
did you have to take it down?
Yeah, because we were in the middle of installing it, and unfortunately the connection came off the bridge, and that meant that the piece was hanging on only one side, which is too much weight on one part of the piece. So it tore at that point. So I spent many hours fixing it. The materials are great though, and really durable, so it did work out. And it meant that we then moved the piece to a different location because we weren't confident any longer in the bridge connection points. I was like, I don't want to do that again. That was hard. So we came up with a new solution, which was to hang the piece inside, which is, actually has some silver linings because it means that people can get much closer to it. When it was on the bridge, it was really high up and far away. And I love my pieces being outside. I find that really exciting. Just feels like a cool achievement to have a piece under a bridge. I don't know. I love it. It's like,
especially embroidery, which is such an inside kind of craft.
It's like granny graffiti.
Yeah. Love it.
I've always been a bit of a granny from the age of 4, so it's really fun to,
push the boundaries.
To be doing it like graffiti, because that's so ridiculous.
And so not what granny would want.
Oh, maybe mine. No.
That is so fantastic.
My grannies are cool. But so it's inside now, and it's in Colorado, and it's still like in a public area where everyone can access, so that's cool. But it also means that the public can get really close to it and really experience the texture. So I do like that.
And you don't mind if people touch?
Oh, they can't. I mean, it's already been pooed on by birds.
Really?
They can't really. It can be cleaned, is my point.
Yeah.
I cleaned it when it came down from Vulcan Lane. I gave it a good old scrub and even like water blasted some parts of it. It's very sturdy, recycled plastics. So yeah, but the downside was that because I had to rush the install at that point because I was flying home the next day, the edges aren't as tidy as I would like them to be. And some parts you can see that I had to use zip ties and cable ties to attach it to the inside thing, and that's not my usual standard of edging. So I had some, frustrations around that. But,
well, going from an outdoor, very high up installation is quite a different finish to an indoor eye level installation.
Yes, and I had to change take all the ropes out that I'd spent ages putting in and then attach them to these metal kind of stands. The easiest way to get that done was to kind of make it work with cable ties, but it was not ideal, but you can still really see the art. And I think that as the artist, you always pick out the faults because that's kind of your job to fix, you're always trying to fix it and make it better. So you're scanning for all the issues. So I'm scanning it for issues, but overall it's been received really well. So yeah, and it's for sale while it's there. And now that it's split into sections, it's potentially more affordable than one long piece. Yeah. So maybe it will be a good thing in the end.
Well, it's such great learning.
Definitely a learning curve.
Yeah, it sounds pretty challenging. Yeah. What would you do differently next time, do you think?
A lot more communication around the installation plan. I think just being really clear that everything, if there are any changes, that really needs to go through me.
Yeah.
not get sick. That would be great. Just be healthy. But overall, I'm happy with the result. Yeah, and I might go back and get it if it doesn't sell. So that'd be nice.
Yeah, so they fly you back again to collect.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So then what do you think you'll do with that if it doesn't sell? Will you put it up for sale here or find another purpose?
I'd probably put it up for sale here. There's a couple of galleries that represent me in Auckland. Turua in St Heliers and The Frame in Herne Bay. So they are beautiful galleries. Genuinely loved them way before I was represented by them. So feel very honoured because I just love all the artists in there, you know?
Yes.
I can't believe I'm alongside them.
No, I love Turua Gallery and I've got to know Liz and the
they're
people
great.
there.
Yeah.
And for some reason, a lot of the artists actually have been on the podcast. It's just one of those things, I think, you know, once you speak to one artist, they recommend another artist from the same gallery.
Right.
But it's really lovely to have that association with such beautiful people and such a beautiful gallery.
Yeah, and some artists that I've loved for a really long time are in that crew. Like Fleur Woods, one of the few fibre or textile artists in New Zealand. So I'm obviously a fan. Love her work, and she's been in there. Following her is how I found out about Turua Gallery, and then started going there and just admiring pieces.
And then what was your approach? How did you approach them to show your work?
Yeah, I had been to a few of their opening nights because I was on their email list. Whenever it was an artist that I really wanted to see their work, I'd go along. And so I had met Liz a couple of times just by doing that. And then when I was bringing Flourishing down from Vulcan Lane and edging it and kind of adding wire to the edge so it's all sturdy and you can kind of malleable, you can bend it into the right shape, hanging it on a pole like a tapestry. During that process, I sent her pictures and she was like, yes, we want one of these pieces. She took the piece that was called Grateful and it sold 2 weeks ago, actually. So that was a really nice message from her. It's gone to its home now.
Wonderful.
So one of the flourishing pieces.
And there's quite a few artists in that gallery who have sort of botanical themes.
Loads of floral stuff, loads of texture stuff.
Yeah.
Whether it's wood or glass or... Yeah.
Maybe you need to talk to Fleur for me. Get our third textile artist into the podcast.
True. I'll let her know. Yeah. We do chat every now and then, like on social media. You know, just that if you're a friend with someone from Instagram, just from being a fan for ages.
Yeah, that's so good. And Frame Gallery, you've had shows or you've shown your work there as well?
I emailed the Frame Gallery at the same time as Turua when I was during that process of being like, these pieces that I'm bringing down from the street are now like big, beautiful, textured, colourful pieces that would look great in a gallery. That's the dream. So I emailed them at the same time and started my relationship with them at that point. And they were just preparing for a show called Petal. So it was just really, really good timing because they had a group show that was already happening and it was going to happen in 2 months at that point. So, they invited me to come along and be part of that. So I was the 5th artist in that group show and the last one to kind of jump in. So I made a collection of 4 pieces for that. One really big one called Just Joy that I really loved. And then the other pieces kind of came from that and I inspired by it. So it was like a little mini collection.
It's so beautiful.
It was really cool.
And it's lovely that you've kind of connected with galleries that you love genuinely for, you know, the way that they're set up and the work that they show.
Yeah.
And then to be able to approach them and become part of that stable of artists is lovely.
It was, absolutely a dream come true and very unexpected. There was actually a moment because I emailed them at the same time and there was a little bit of a concern because I met with Zakaya from the Frame Gallery and she came to my home studio and saw the pieces and told me about the show. And then the next day, Liz from Turua emailed me back So she was a little bit slower to email back, but she was like, yes, straight away, get me a piece ready. So I got it ready and took it to her. And then I spoke to Zakaya again, and she thought, what? She was like, what? I thought we were going to be the first people to show you, And then that was a learning curve for me for being like, I need to be really careful not to, I want to work with the galleries, and I didn't realize that they would want me exclusively. So it was a bit concerning for a minute because I thought I might not be able to be in both, and I just hadn't even realized that would be a thing. That's just part of learning, I guess, to be an artist. And the art scene in Auckland to me seemed huge, but actually it's not that big. So I was lucky enough that they were both okay for the other one to be showing my work as well. But yeah, it was a bit of a learning curve.
But that's great.
To working with galleries.
Yeah, it is quite a tricky one. And galleries, some galleries feel differently to other galleries about those kind of things. Can you see yourself, I can really see yourself in somewhere like Wanaka or Queenstown with your work. Can you see yourself expanding to other galleries around New Zealand?
Yeah, absolutely. I have been contacted by a lovely little gallery that I only know is lovely through Instagram, through seeing pictures. It's called Art on Tyne, and it's down like near Dunedin, like that way. You probably know better than me.
I don't know
Tyne,
that one. I don't know.
Is that the name of the town? I don't know. So I've agreed to send them a piece later in the year when I've finished on the commissions that I'm working on now. Then I'll make a piece and send it. So yeah, I'd love to be all over. Of course, that's the dream. The more the better, I guess.
Yeah,
if I have time, that's the trade-off.
That's the issue. And as far as time goes, how long do these pieces take you?
Oh, they take a while. Embroidery is notoriously slow, right? It's like therapeutic, slow stitching. I think that like a 1 meter piece, I'm working on a series of like 1 meter by 1 meter square pieces at the moment, which is a really cool size, actually. It's the first time I've made that size, and I like it a lot because it's impactful, but it will also fit in a lot of places. Like I could fit that in my home more easily because I don't have huge walls except the staircase. So I'm working on those pieces, and they take about a week, roughly. Like if I'm working on it full time. Yeah, roughly, yeah. I'm getting faster.
And for a smaller piece compared to Flourishing,
Flourishing took 2 months.
Yeah, that would have taken a very long time, I imagine. Yeah. And do you just kind of shrink everything basically, so have narrower strips, or how does that work?
A little bit. At the moment I'm using the same size strips in the 1 meter pieces, but then I'm adding details with the smaller thread as well. I'm using the word thread loosely there. So I'm kind of mixing the materials a little bit to add the detail when it's on a smaller scale. Yeah,
I love that. They're such unique pieces. I think that's why you're getting snapped up, because they're very beautiful and they're very unique.
Bit different, yeah. I had a friend of mine, an artist friend, say something similar, and it meant a lot. He kind of said, no one else is doing this, and it's really unusual to find something new. you know?
Yeah.
Because So I was like, that's
great.
That's stuck with me. Stuck.
It stuck with me. It's stuck with me. But isn't it great to have a practice that, you must, I feel motivated just talking to you, because I feel like there's such a massive potential. I can just see you going so far with this work, and then also developing and evolving and bringing in new techniques and new materials and new concepts, and still around that same sort of theme, I guess. You'll stick with botanicals, do you think?
Yes, because I am just nature obsessed, but I do have another obsession, which is hands. So I have a lot of sketches and just always have around like hands. I find them really like expressive, and like they have so much emotion. You could do sign language, you can do a whole language with just your hands. So I quite often find myself, I think that I started sketching hands because they were always, this is cheesy, they were always on hand. I could always sketch my own hand when I was, for example, sitting in a church service. I like to be drawing. I'm note-taking and sketching. So my hand was always there. So I draw it in all different shapes. And I'd have to be quick. Otherwise I get like cramp from holding my hand in a weird position because I'm trying to draw it like that. So I started in my teen years, really always drawing my own hands. So I do have some intention of doing some hand pieces in the future, but
that would be interesting.
Yeah, we'll see when that happens.
Yeah, and can you see yourself ever creating work that's quite 3D? I mean, it is kind of 3D in itself already, but more sort of like sculptural.
Yeah.
Although it still, again, is quite sculptural, but sculptural on a different level.
Yeah, I have been experimenting with that at the moment. When I was making the Otara piece, one of my experiments that I ended up not using was making a really 3D flower and embroidering each petal individually with the wire around it. And I ended up not going in that direction, but it's definitely something I'm considering. It's kind of like a giant light shade that's a flower,
I love
kind of
that
like
idea.
hanging piece.
Yeah.
So I kind of have that. I have some petals from that in my studio, and I started like stealing some rope from it to use in something else. And I'm thinking, but I don't want to leave this project completely.
Do you remember the flower chandelier in Auckland Art Gallery?
No.
Yeah, that was.
I need to check that out.
When it first opened after the renovation in 2011.
Oh,
that was hanging.
Yeah.
It was massive in the big foyer.
Yeah,
in the atrium, and it's by Choi Zhonghua.
I need to check it out.
And it actually opened and closed.
Oh, cool!
So it was mechanical, and it was lit.
Love that.
So I am loving. I mean, I love anything lit.
Yeah,
but I really can visualize you sort of using light in some way as well. Is that something you've thought about?
Yeah, I have used some simple lighting. Like Flourishing had lights all the way through it, and they were just like simple solar panelled fairy lights that I was quite intentional, and I kind of was outlining flowers with the lights, and then when it got dark they would light up.
Beautiful.
It ended up looking pretty random because the lights all kind of stick in different directions anyway. So the next time that I was adding lights, when I was taking the piece to Colorado, I put new lights in it. I just did it randomly, like a scattering of lights, so that when there's that nice moment when it gets dark and it suddenly catches your eye. But I'd love to do like proper lights that are like a spotlight and create a shadow, because my pieces have a really cool shadow when the light shines through the rope. I actually look at it all the time when they're like half made in my studio, and there's all these there's this line work with the ropes. I really love it.
Yeah, that's a big part of it, really, isn't it? Wow. Oh my goodness.
Fun. I like this chat.
It's so exciting. It just makes me feel excited for some reason. I just think it's such an incredible practice.
Oh, thanks.
It's really, really cool. And I feel like, as I said, there's so much potential, which I'm sure you will achieve.
I just day by day doing it. So bit by bit, getting better.
And imagine it as like a lampshade almost, a version of a lampshade. I mean, you could go even really quite small or sort of just go massive. Yeah. And so are you intending on, answering more call-outs and doing more public artwork?
I've applied to a few. I think I need to just keep applying every now and then for things as they come up. But at this point, I'm usually only applying if either it's really fibre related, textile art, fibre art related, or it's a really large budget, because that entices me. Other than that, I'm quite happy with working in my studio and making a collection of works for the galleries, because a few have asked, the ones that are representing me have asked for pieces. So I'd really like to just kind of, after having such a busy season with the show and then Colorado and then Otara, I'd quite like a kind of grounding few months of just working in my studio on whatever I want to work on. Just making a little series of pieces, series of works, and then we'll see.
It's certainly been a busy year.
It has. It's been brilliant. I've kind of jumped on every opportunity because I'm excited. And I'm like, I can do that in that month and that in that month. And then it's back to back.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
And I knew it'd be a bit nuts. But luckily I've got really lovely, supportive family. So it's worked out.
You get through it. And are you thinking about a solo show at some point?
I'd love to. Yeah. I should probably put that out there to some galleries I haven't asked. So we'll see.
Yeah. And do you actually do many commissions where people come to you and have a specific location or a specific request for you?
Because I was doing the jackets, I have a lot of experience with doing jacket commissions, but the artwork is quite fresh. So I've had 2. I'm working on my second at the moment commission through Turua Gallery, this one. So that's quite fresh doing that. But also quite like natural to me because I've done so many custom works on people's jackets.
That's right.
Just a similar process with kind of getting their inspiration and what they want and seeing the area, if it's a jacket or if it's a wall, and creating for it. I quite like doing that.
And then are they just asking for things basically from what they've seen before?
Yeah. I'll be like, which pieces of mine are you drawn to and which colours? But with the rope, I'm much more limited by which colours are available because it's the recycled rope. It's not available in all the colours all the time. So I'll be like, I've got a lot of yellow and blue at the moment or a lot of pink or whatever it is. And hopefully that works out and is what they're after.
Yeah.
So far, so good.
I love the idea of monochromatic works as well, and just, making the differences between the different lines and shapes with different textures or different ways that you're sort of stitching and threading and weaving.
Yeah. All
one colour, like one white one would be incredible.
I quite often visualise doing a really like cream and white piece. I think about that a lot. It's funny you say that. I think it's because that kind of piece would work in so many areas. I go past the beautiful jewelry store that I used to work in, and that's very much the color palette, beautiful like marble and cream, and I visualize making a piece for there that's all cream and white. And
I remember seeing the most gorgeous installation by Nikki Hastings McFall in the Te Uru Gallery, which was Lopdale Gallery at that time, and she made a gorgeous kind of cascading waterfall through the levels through the spiral staircase.
Oh, cool.
And it was all made up of $2 shop lace, white lace.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Joined together and then just falling in a sort of circle and then tumbling at the bottom.
Cool.
And then there was a light shining through.
Yeah.
And, that kind of thing I just love.
Fibre art meets sculpture.
Yeah.
Love it.
And it would be interesting to see if you end up combining, like using those recycled materials and then combining with other found objects.
Yeah. I'm reaching a point now where I'm starting to get messages from people because they're thinking of me when they see something, and rather than throwing it away, they're messaging me. So I've had some offers for some great materials that I can then recycle and incorporate in my work. So
and you've got so much potential also in exploring so many different materials.
Yeah, and my poor husband is just going to have to deal with the hoarding.
Put up with the hoarding.
He does so well.
You might need a separate space.
Eventually, like a whole warehouse. I think about that too sometimes. That's dangerous.
And you really are an entrepreneurial kind of person. The way that you've created your business, Beautifully Frank, which I love that name.
Thanks.
Taking your first name of Frankie.
Yeah.
and you really do seem to be kind of going forth with that business approach and doing really well. So can you ever imagine kind of getting a little bit of a team together as well and getting people to make some of your designs to help with the sort of more rudimentary tasks?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's the dream, to be able to scale. And and I did some workshops recently in June as like the lead up to the Otara piece. And while I was doing those workshops, I was thinking, imagine if I, find the person who really likes it and could eventually be like the apprentice or whatever, or work with me, because I definitely love working with people. Yeah. And for a while I had my bestie Jodie working on the jackets with me. And it's just so much more fun when you have somebody to bounce ideas or verbal processor. So I just talk to myself a lot at the moment.
At the moment, but yeah, I can see that working really well, and that's, you know, that could be the making or the beginning of a very successful business.
Could be fun.
Yeah. Wow. It's very motivating for me. I hope it is for you too. Yeah. And I'm sure for the people listening, you know, it's just, it feels like there's a whole area that you could develop and explore. On your website, Frankie, you have some original paintings and prints that can be purchased through your website. So I'm not quite sure, after all we've talked about, how you actually fit in time for painting. What are the paintings like, and how do you find time to do them?
I have some. They're mostly pieces from like a year ago, the paintings. So that's why. I was playing with making like quite soft palette paintings, and then that pop of line work with the embroidery on top. So I have a few pieces, and then I was going to a company to scan them in and make prints. It's that kind of artist's goal of being able to have some pieces that are more affordable so that your work can be in more places. That's why I went for the prints. And I do sell them occasionally. It's not a huge seller for me. And I find it quite difficult with the shipping and the packaging and that whole side of thing. It's not fun, you know, but it is fun that people want to buy your art. So it's good. Yeah. I'm working with the same company to really get really high quality photographs of the really textured work and get them made into prints. So that's something that I'm working on behind the scenes, but it's a long process.
I think that would be really beautiful.
I really want them to be good. And Fleur Woods did inspire that as well, because she has, and another artist called Knowles. I want to say Fiance Knowles. Is that her name? She's another like textile embroidery artist. They have prints that are genuinely really great. Like it almost looks like the real thing. You can hardly tell the difference. So if I could get a print that was that high quality, that would be great. And that's what I'm working towards. And I don't want to, you know, sell it until it's ready. So it's about halfway through the process at the moment.
That's a great idea. And you could even take like details of your larger works.
Yeah.
And
like
make
a
prints.
section of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Zoom in because they're so big. Choose a little viewpoint and
Yeah, that's a lovely
so
idea.
I'm kind of editing photos every now and then and trying to print it on different paper, and I think I just it's a long process. And then I find shipping quite difficult. That's a whole other thing, isn't it?
There are printing companies who organise the shipping.
That's where I need to go, I think. That's kind of what I stopped, because I have a really great printer and I was experimenting with all the paper and I was finding it just to be an absolute mission. And so I think what I need to do is just outsource that to one of these brilliant companies that do it for you. Yeah. So that's the next step.
I can highly recommend Print Art in Albany.
There we go.
So you're age 31 now, just had your birthday recently.
I did.
I think you've achieved a lot. Apart from making 3 humans and raising them, you have also, started this really interesting art practice and business. So getting on to our questions, what would you say to your younger artistic self?
Oh, right. Those questions. I would say, I'd say keep going, because it takes a long time to develop your artistic voice and your style. And everything that I've made over the years has contributed to what I do now. And so just to keep making things and follow that creative train of thought, instinct, I don't know.
And you've spoken about a few artists you follow, or a few artists who inspire you.
Yeah.
Can you talk about other artists who inform your practice?
I've made a little list as well so that I wouldn't mess this part up, and now I'm forgetting. I have a few artists that inspire me and that I follow. There are only a couple that are Kiwi. So I love Hannah Jensen. She has really inspired me in the way that she also kind of created her own genre, style of art, her own form, like with the paint carving. And her work is so nature inspired as well. And the colours, I just love it. So I've been a fan of hers for a few years, and she often inspires me. And then there are a few like tattoo artists that I quite enjoy looking at what they do. Tree Tone, I hope I'm saying his name right. Just because it's floral and it's like line work, which really interests me. Really, really skilled tattoo artist. Other than that, the kind of classic embroidery artists who use texture, like Fleur Woods and Anna Martins, and there's quite a few. Raquel Rodrigo's amazing, but a lot of those are overseas. Yeah.
Yeah, it is inspiring, isn't it, to see what other people can do.
Yeah.
And gets your mind going.
Yeah.
And as an artist, apart from tricky projects overseas, what would you say was your biggest or is your biggest challenge?
My biggest challenge is probably hoarding. No. My biggest challenge is probably the kind of classic work-life balance with being a mum and not taking on too much and getting overwhelmed. You know, because if you have a lot of projects on and a lot of deadlines and then the kids get sick, that's my role in the family at this point, to look after them. And my husband's hugely supportive, but, you know, that's just how it is at the moment. So, I think intentionally not taking on too many things is something that I'm working on. And probably my biggest challenge. Although, you know, I absolutely hate doing admin. So I force myself to do that, and I give myself rewards when I've got it done, like physical lists, and I get to tick them off and give myself chocolate, like a actual treat, like I'm a dog, and it works.
Love it.
So that's probably a challenge for me too.
Yeah. Oh, one day when you get really big and international, you can have people to do your own admin, which is what my business mentor told me. He said, everything that you hate to do, you get someone else to do it for you.
Yeah, use that to light the fire to grow your business, so you don't have to do it.
Exactly. It
is actually
a cleaner
quite motivating.
For my house. Yeah, that would help too.
and maybe a chef.
Yeah, chef, cleaner, childminder, all those things.
Goodness.
And what drives you to make the kind of work that you're making?
I'm just creatively drawn that way. It just excites me. I've been interested in like fabrics since I was really young. When I was a teenager, I'd like go and hang out in fabric stores. I don't know where the cool kids were hanging out. Maybe the skate park, but I'm trying to think of an example that's cool. I was in the fabric store or the art gallery, just touching fabric and just obsessing over it because I just love it. I don't know. I just love it.
That's your,
into the granny hobbies and the sewing. And
no, I don't think they're granny hobbies anymore. I think that has changed.
I am so glad that I've, because I've always been in that granny era and now it's cool. It's great.
Grannies are quite cool. I say so myself.
Agreed. Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, Frankie, thank you so very much for coming. I have loved meeting you. And as I said, I feel all sort of tingly all over to get making myself. You think of yourself as a multidisciplinary artist.
Yeah.
And I kind of do too. My practice is based around just ideas that come into my head, really a lot of the time related to materials.
Yeah.
I found what you've had to say so inspiring and really informative, learning about things like Cafe, the website, and how you approach amazing art projects. Thank you so much for coming onto the Creative Matters podcast, and hopefully we can reconnect another time.
Definitely. Thanks for having me.